Are Red Bull losing their wings? If you told me in 2023 that I would be questioning Red Bull's ability to win, I would have laughed in your face, but here we are today talking about it. Now, I want to go back to the start of the 2024 season. It was looking like things would be business as usual for Red Bull, but things started to take a little bit of a turn. To start with, the Christian Horner drama was starting to overshadow everything, and rightly so. It wasn't handled great, and clearly it shifted something in the team dynamic. Now, shortly after that, it was announced Adrian Newey would leave the team almost with immediate effect. He had seen enough at Red Bull, and if he has seen enough, that can raise these alarm bells to me. From the outside, it looks like things are starting to crumble, in my opinion. Next, we have Jos Verstappen's comments, making it known his dislike for Horner, and continuing to put more pressure onto Red Bull, which they're already facing a lot of backlash. Then they have Jos Verstappen jumping on their back too. And as the season is going along, Red Bull are having more and more problems with their car. Other teams are starting to catch them. In fact, not just catch them, they have overtook them. And as it goes on and on, Max is getting more heated.
Well, that's some gentle introduction.
No, mate, don't give me that. Now, you guys give me the strategy, okay? I'm trying to rescue myself.
He's struggling to drive the car. You have this Sergio Perez. He's struggling even more with the car. And there's talk about who's going to replace him in his seat for next year. Checo's saying, I'm staying. Horner's saying, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on at Red Bull. And then you have the Max to Mercedes rumors, where there's a lot of talk about Max that he could leave Red Bull. All in all, 2024 was not really a great season for Red Bull. Yes, Verstappen won the Drivers' Championship, but they failed to win the Constructors. Everything around them was kind of starting to crumble, and we're starting to see the start of a downfall. Now we're back to the present. Pre-season testing just happened, and things aren't looking too rosy this year for Red Bull either. The last few seasons, Red Bull are so used to starting the seasons on top, and from this year it's looking like they will start 2025 on the back foot. The pre-season testing was a bit odd. It's clear that they didn't do everything they wanted to do. They had constant setup changes. They didn't really do a proper long run either. It just looked like it was a bit of a mess, and that Red Bull are still trying to figure their car out, which, I mean, you can say that's what testing is for, which it is. That's what's testing for, is to figure out the car. But when you look at things, how things have been previously, it just kind of looks like things aren't looking too great for Red Bull. And I think this was confirmed by what we've seen from Max Verstappen. There was visible onboards that we all saw of Max shaking his head when he was driving the car and testing. I've seen this once or twice, maybe even multiple times, of Max clearly shaking his head in the cockpit. And you don't want an unhappy Max. When Max is unhappy, everybody knows. You can't hide that. I'm still not willing to put a bet against Verstappen or Red Bull winning this season, as I think that would be stupid to do so. You put Verstappen in any car and he's going to perform. It doesn't matter if it would be right at the back or in the midfield or at the top. Verstappen has shown time and time again he is a top quality driver, and I don't doubt him at all. So I may not be the brightest, but I'm definitely not going to rule Red Bull or Verstappen out. And I know for a fact Verstappen will win a race this season. I would put money on that, because that is a safe bet. Now let's get into the topic of Max Verstappen's new teammate, Liam Lawson. Sergio Perez got his long-awaited axe, like many other previous drivers in that seat, but now that pressure moves on to Lawson, who will have to go into the Red Bull, and he will have to perform straight away. Who, mind you, is still a rookie and hasn't completed a full season in F1. The problem is Verstappen is the golden boy at Red Bull. He gets the priority over anyone and everything at Red Bull, and that is not going to change with Lawson coming in. Which makes it even harder for any driver to compete. It doesn't matter who you are, if you don't show promise in that second seat, you're going to get axed. And if the Red Bulls are going to be right at the very top, it's going to make this even more challenging for Lawson to prove his point and make his mark and be in touching distance with Verstappen. Alex Albon found this out the hard way, and I'm scared that Lawson might face the same fate. Now, let's talk about all dominance comes to an end. Let's start with Red Bull in themselves. In the 2010s, it ended, and then it went on to Mercedes, who went on to dominate, and it ended, and now we went on to Red Bull again. And you know where I'm going with this? It is looking like it's going to end. Teams dominate and then it ends, so on and so on. What do all these eras that come to an end have in common? Regulation changes. Which now brings me on to 2026. As we all know, there is another major set of regulation changes coming in 2026, and this again has me concerned for Red Bull. Red Bull are going to be producing their own engines along with Ford, who hasn't produced anything in F1 since 2004. Red Bull aren't exactly known for making engines, and Ford haven't had anything to do with F1 in a very, very long time. It's usually hard for new manufacturers or returning manufacturers to get it right in a new regulation change, and I'm just not seeing how it's going to work. I will never say never though, because it's Formula 1 and anything can happen. But all these things together have got me a bit concerned. With that said, if it isn't good enough, then in the past, if Red Bull's engine hasn't been good enough, their chassis has tended to bail them out of total disaster, with Red Bull always producing a very, very good car thanks to Adrian Newey, which with Adrian Newey, who isn't going to be there in 2026, and Red Bull will have to make one of their first cars without any Adrian Newey input for a very, very long time. All this being said, it kind of looks like to me the Empire is starting to crumble at Red Bull and they're starting to lose their wings. However, as long as you have Verstappen in the seat, you can never be ruled out.